Hey everybody, I'm Aussie, and today I'm here to talk to you about how to build your crypto portfolio. If you're new to the channel, I'm Aussie, and I'm here to talk all things about crypto, airdrops, and just how to make money in this 2024-2025 crypto bull run. That being said, please consider dropping a like, a subscribe, a share, or a follow on the video because it really helps me out and it really helps the channel. I want to thank everyone that has already supported the channel up until now. We just crossed the 250 subscriber mark, and it really warms my heart. Without further ado, let's get into it. I'm going to first warn you, I'm sick. I am getting over a cold, so if my voice sounds a little bit weird and you see the editing's a little bit lackluster, I'm just not feeling well. But I wanted to get this video out to you guys. Now, when building your crypto portfolio, you've got to take into consideration your goals and how much capital you have. Do you have a lot of capital put in up front right away, or are you DCAing? I always suggest DCAing if you feel uncertain, if you think the price might drop, or if you're not super confident in your abilities yet. DCA, slowly grow your portfolio, and then as you become more familiar, more confident, then you can invest larger amounts of money, grow the overall number of tokens in your portfolio, and all of that. So let's look into how I approach my crypto portfolio. I'm someone with quite a bit of experience. I've already gone through one bull market. This is just one way of approaching a portfolio. I know that there's hundreds of different people doing their portfolio different ways, but this is how I like to approach it and how my mindset is. That being said, you'll see advice telling you to do it differently. It's all up to you on how you do this. Now, I structure my portfolio something like this on the screen. I have two big allocations, first Bitcoin and ETH, and then I allocate the rest of my tokens based on sectors, or you could also call them narratives. Either or, it means the same thing. When we look at this overall breakdown, you'll see that I dedicate 25% of my portfolio to Bitcoin, 25% of my portfolio, and then I split the remaining 50% equally between 5 sectors. Now, if you are someone who is very bullish on one sector over another, then you could allocate more to one sector and have a smaller number of sectors, or have one sector that's 20% and then 2 that are 5. Up to you. This is just a basic guideline. Now, the other thing that a lot of people will criticize or say is, why so heavy into Bitcoin and ETH? 50%, that's a lot of portfolio. And I mean, I am chasing to make the most money possible in this market, but I'm still allocating 50% of my portfolio to Bitcoin and ETH. And the reason I'm doing that is twofold, really. One, because I do believe in the adoption of Bitcoin and ETH. The Bitcoin ETFs are going to drive a lot of money into Bitcoin. And so I want to capture those gains because it often is a market leader that I can then roll into other plays throughout the bull market cycle. I think ETH is a massive player and will continue to be a massive leader in this bull run. I think they're the next ones to get a spot ETF. I also use a lot of ETH in airdrop farming, and so having 25% of my portfolio in ETH allows me to have that ETH on hand to do that airdrop farming. Now, the other reason that I really like allocating to Bitcoin and ETH in that proportion is I know that they're not going to go away. They won't disappear. They won't rug. So even if the rest of my portfolio went to zero, I lost absolutely all of it. As long as Bitcoin and ETH 2x, I will have lost no money. And given the current prices of Bitcoin at just shy of 50,000 and ETH somewhere around 2,600, I foresee that Bitcoin's got at least another 3x in it, and ETH has close to it, in my opinion. So if everything else in my portfolio goes to zero, I've still got 1.5 to 2x of my portfolio, which is still way better than the stock market. So in one way, yes, they're an anchor to my overall portfolio performance, but they're also making sure that in the end, if everything else goes to zero, I've still got money left. Now, let's dive into the sectors. Sectors are narratives. As I said, this is how I like to allocate my portfolio, is how to play on these different narratives. You'll see a lot on crypto Twitter about AI, art of GameFi. Those are 3 really prominent narratives in crypto right now, and I think major narratives that could drive a lot of value in the next bull market. Another narrative that I talked about that could come back in my last video is the metaverse narrative. And there's 4 narratives right there. I've got 5 sectors, but those are 4 narratives. You could also do this based on ecosystems. Narratives is one way to organize, this is another. If you really believe in the injective ecosystem, or you really believe in the Avalanche ecosystem, or the Cosmos ecosystem, or the Solana ecosystem, then you could organize your portfolio based on those different ecosystems. So the sectors is a flexible term. It could be narrative, it could be ecosystems, or the third option is essentially types of dApps. You could have it, sector 1 is all about L1s. Sector 2 is all about DEXs. Sector 3 is all about bridges. Sector 4 is all about perpetuals, dApps. Sector 5 is all about DeFi. And you can mix and match these different strategies to create something that is cohesive for you, but this is just a way to think about how to organize your portfolio. One thing that I find a lot of newbies do is they often allocate into way too many tokens. The reason why I allocate into sectors in my portfolio or into narratives is because you don't necessarily always know which narrative will win. And this way, rather than throwing at a whole bunch of random tokens hoping they win, you're organizing your investments into these different narratives so that you are betting on each narrative in a strategic way rather than just randomly. And this could mean, again, if you believe in one sector more, you can allocate to one sector more, but at least, okay, these are the narratives that I'm chasing, and then you only pay attention to those narratives. It's so easy to get distracted in crypto. And so by knowing which narratives you want to focus on, it allows you to structure your investments better and avoid getting distracted into that one random token or new idea that maybe might take off or might just be that one fad, and allow you to have a little bit more organization about your investments. If you've got a very small portfolio, if you've got $1,000, I'd allocate to 10 tokens total. No more than that, or else you're going to be diluting your buying power. It's just not going to be a big enough position to make any sense. 10% of $100 of $1,000 is $100. So it's just, you've got to be thoughtful in how you do this. Whereas if you're talking $100,000, then yeah, maybe go with more than 10 tokens. Maybe look at, I feel like 100 tokens is a lot for anyone to manage, but maybe up to 50 tokens, something that it's a little bit more manageable, but you're not over invested in any one token. You get more exposure, but you're not overextending yourself. Now, when I look at these sectors, I also like to break them down into different market caps. So if you haven't heard about a market cap, what a market cap is essentially what the value of all of the token is times the number of tokens associated to that contract. So for example, there's 21 million Bitcoin at $50,000. That would be your market cap. There's not exactly 21 million Bitcoin in circulation right now, but that would give you a general idea. Or another token like DYM, there's a billion tokens. It's around $8 right now, $8 billion valuation or market cap. So with market caps, the bigger the market cap, the less X's it can go up. With Bitcoin and ETH, they're in the hundreds of billions of market cap. A 3 to 4x is probably as big as you'll get on them. Where you look at something that's in the under 100 billion market cap, you might get a 5, maybe a 10x out of that, depending on how low it is on the scale. If you look at something that's at a million market cap, that could 100 or 1000x, depending on how good the project is. But it's also just as equally likely to rug or completely fail. So the higher the market cap, the less growth it might have, but the less risk it might have. It's like Bitcoin and ETH, I don't think they're going anywhere. Whereas some $1 million market cap token, yeah, it could 1000x, but it could very well just equally go to 0. So when I allocate to a sector, what I like to do is have one token that is over $1 billion market cap, so probably at least in the top 100 tokens, gets a major allocation. In this scenario, it would be 45% of that sector, so about 4.5% of my portfolio. And then I like to have a medium cap token, so usually I say that's between 100 million and 1 billion, and that's 25% of the sector, or about 2.5% of my portfolio. And then I'll allocate to 3 lower cap tokens between 1 million and 100 million in market cap. And those will get 10% of the sector each, or 1% of my total portfolio each. This way, I've got my big bet that I feel more certain on, that smaller X's but with strong performance. I've got a token that's got a little bit more growth potential than the large cap, but it's less risky than one of these low caps. And then I've got these 3 low caps where you don't necessarily know which one might take off, especially with these low caps. It's hard to say. Sometimes there's 2 projects that are doing the exact same thing, and you just don't know which one might take off. And sometimes one takes off for a random reason while the other one doesn't. And that's why I also have tokens across different market caps. The bigger market cap token will likely take off first, and that'll give you that warning to keep an eye on the other tokens in that sector. The big tokens will usually take off first, and that'll give you that warning. So if you see your big AI token take off first, you'll know to watch those AI tokens and those smaller AI tokens to know when to take profits on them. I think that's one thing that's always over or underestimated, is how much attention it takes to take profits and to pay attention, because it takes a lot of dedication to know when you're taking profits. So this way you're spreading your risk out to 3 different small caps, and therefore hoping to capitalize on that. And therefore then you've got exposure to 5 tokens. And this way, in this portfolio, you've got about 27 tokens of exposure, which is a pretty healthy amount of tokens to be exposed to, and enough to keep track of. Again, sector breakdowns and like these sector definitions are flexible. Maybe there's the L1 narrative. There's a lot of the L1s are bigger. Like, I might want to have an equal allocation of Solana, Matic, Injective, and Avalanche. Then you can distribute this differently. This is just how I like to do it, and I think the optimal way to do it, if you want to get exposure to strong wealth opportunities, like if you buy a token at $1 million market cap, and that 1000x's, and it's 1% of your portfolio, that can still massively generate growth on your entire portfolio. I mean, it's nuts. In the case of an $1,000 portfolio, for example, and you've got one token that's got 1% of your allocation, so $10 essentially. You invest $10 in one of these low caps and hit 1000x's, you've now got $10,000. You've now 10x'd your portfolio. just on that one token. If all of your other tokens go to zero, and that's considering Bitcoin and ETH, you've got a 10x right there. And that's really powerful. And that's what's super powerful about these low caps. But those low caps can also go to zero. If that low cap ends up going to zero, you lose $10. But you're likely, because you've got Bitcoin and ETH and some of these larger caps, they'll make up for that $10 no problem. So it's just a balancing act of balancing risk with upside potential. And what you'll see is I've got in my own portfolio right now, if you want to see my own portfolio and me break down my list, let me know in the comments. Jump in the Discord and tell me that you want me to make that video. And then I'll do that. If I get 25 comments on this video telling me that you want to see my portfolio, I will make a portfolio breakdown video of my own portfolio. You might allocate first to some of your bigger tokens, and as we get closer and closer to after the halving and to the bull run, the full-on bull run, I will allocate to lower cap tokens more. So I might start taking profits on Bitcoin and ETH and slowly rolling them into these lower caps, because those lower caps often break out later. That gives you a little bit of an idea of how I allocate my portfolio, how I suggest you approach your portfolio so that you can capture gains and manage your risk. That being said, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm Aussie, and I really appreciate you watching this video. To recap, I suggest allocating 25% of your portfolio to ETH, 25% of your portfolio to Bitcoin, and then 10% of your portfolio allocated into 5 sectors. And each of those sectors is broken down into 1 large cap, 1 medium cap, and 3 small caps. I appreciate everybody watching. Please tune in next time. And don't forget to check out my free Discord community and drop a comment if you want to see my portfolio revealed in one of the upcoming videos. Thanks for watching.